Okay, we are getting back to it again. Another video here. So, the last video, we basically got the motor in and some other stuff done. Go watch the last video. So, did some research last night on steering rack, steering wheel placement. So, the first thing that I need to do, which I've already done, is re-drop the subframe, which is okay because it wasn't bolted up or anything, so we're good. Didn't take a lot of effort there. Next thing that we need to do is we need to center the steering rack. So we're going to center the steering rack by taking a pair of vice grips, channel locks, vice grips, and we're going to turn it all the way one way, mark it, turn it all the way the other way, see where the vice grips end up, and then try to just like even it out. Once I get it fairly evened out, I'll mark it as close as I can. I'm going to run the seat belt through the steering wheel to hold it as center as possible as well. And then I'm going to have Mr. Little Man over here man the jack when we're getting it up in there. So he is my flashlight man and my jack man. So, in fact, he even lifted up the cherry picker yesterday when I was trying to get the motor to seat into its mounts. So, that's where we're starting today. And then after we get the subframe back in, all the bolts in, bolted up, then I'll probably start trying to drill out the broken little bolts for the dust shield covers. Get those back on, get the rotors back on, get at least the rotors back on, the calipers back on, unless I send them to powder coat this week. Not sure yet. But yeah, so went and grabbed some oil this morning, some cheap power steering fluid for now so I can kind of flush the system out a little bit and then replace it with some better shit later. The oil that I'm going to put in this car when I start this back up, I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff, and good old Gears and Gasoline YouTube channel is where I learned it from. So we're going to try this Valvoline Restore and Protect. So from the research that I've done and oil analysis that I've seen, it's pretty good oil and it does its job. So yeah, we're going to dump that in there for probably about 2,000 to 3,000 miles, and then we'll change it with like Valvoline Max Life, probably, more than likely. And yeah, I'm not sponsored by nobody, so I ain't getting this shit for free or anything like that. But we're trying to run some good fluids in this car its whole life. So we're getting there. Might get to the point today of getting fluids in the car and potentially starting it, if depending on how on top of my game I am today, which 50-50. But still need to get the intake manifold on. We're just going to throw some distilled water into the radiator. So again, that way I can flush it for now. And then, after driving it for 500 miles or whatever, I can kind of, change some things, fluids and whatnot to better stuff. But we got to do pretty much all the fluids, and still need to clean up the intake manifold section, which that shouldn't take very long. And then we got a new gasket for the intake manifold right here. We got that. Still need to punch out the speed sensors that we cut when we took it apart because they're seized up in there. Yeah, I'm definitely writing lists of other things I need to do in due time too, of what needs to get replaced and fixed and whatnot. But the car is finally coming together a little bit more each and every day, and I am excited. So, are you excited, bud?
Yeah.
You want to ride in the Evo? Yeah? Yeah, he is super excited. And my youngest son hasn't even gotten to ride in it yet, ever. So, still need to find him a new car seat that fits in this car a little bit better. But we will find that. So, yeah. Guess there's nothing to it but to do it. So, I'm going to dive into it. Okay, so we're making some progress here, but now my brain is kind of fried. Just Sunday vibes, you know? So we got the subframe in, got the 4 big bolts connected to the subframe. Still need to put the bolt through the rear motor mount and the bolts on the brace for the subframe. I dropped the brace, or whatever you want to call it, that guy right there, because one of the bolts that was in it noticed that it was snapped when it came out off. So we got to fix that. But I'm about 90% sure that I straightened up the steering wheel when I put the power steering back in. So there's quote unquote straight. So we go 1 to about there. The arrow on the Mitsubishi logo is kind of pointing that way. Go back center, 1 there, and same thing. So it's probably a little off. It's not absolutely perfect, but hopefully that could get resolved when I take it in for an alignment, because that will definitely be happening in the very near future. Basically what I did is I kind of eyeballed like what I thought was center on the steering rack and put some those needle nose like channel locks on there, and so I eyeballed it and I just kept turning it back and forth with the pliers being like basically set on there directly straight at me. So turned it back and forth until essentially each rotation on going left and right, it was even on both sides. So the camera's a little dirty. Sorry about that. I'm not recording this. So yeah, that's what I did, and it seems to have got me pretty dang close. So that's where we're at. I started making a list of things that need to still get done, and check something off and add something, and check something off and add something. I think that's just going to be the constant here. But found some intake manifold hardware, so we're going to get some of this stuff off and just get this surface all cleaned up, get the intake manifold on, so that's on, and then possibly get the fuel rail on as well, so that's out of the way. Pulled some stuff just through here, like the shift cable, just to make sure to try to figure out how things hook up and where they mount to and whatnot. And so yeah, we're getting there. Just a lot of little things to do. So between intake manifold and getting some broken bolts out and going and buying some new bolts today, we'll at least get that done, and we'll see from there. Still need to get this guy out as well. I have a feeling this guy's going to hold me up a little bit from getting this potentially done today. But we are dang close, that's for sure. Closer than I was a week ago. So anywho, we'll keep trucking along and see how long we work on this today. Got the subframe all set up and good, and then from there got the intake manifold mating surfaces all cleaned up, got the intake manifold back on, got the fuel rail and injectors back in there. Oh, what else did we do today? Hooked up hooked up the oil lines to the oil cooler, hooked up some power steering stuff, straightened out the steering rack. So the steering wheel is pretty straight right now, turns pretty evenly. So I think I videoed that already, I don't know, but got that straightened out. It's maybe like a smidge off, but an alignment should quote unquote help with that. What else did we do today? I feel like I did a lot of stuff, but maybe I didn't. I definitely drank some beer, so that was good. I think the last thing that I finished off with was so when we pulled off the wheels and tires and stuff, the speed sensors were pretty much fully seized in their hole right here. And so we just cut them. And then I did order some new speed sensors on the good old Amazon, so hopefully they work. You know, gotta budget things a little bit here. The OEM ones are like $300 a pop, and I think I got 2 of those guys for like 30 or 40 bucks. So hopefully they do the job. But ended up just going ahead and drilling it out. Started small and went bigger. And we still need to unbolt all of this stuff in here, and there's a grommet right here where it goes in somewhere, and we'll have to pop that and rerun the new ones. But the new ones have brackets on them, the grommet, clips, all that jazz, so that's cool. So we still have the brake dust cover bolt that we need to extract on both sides. Those both snap. And then we need to get one more on the like rear subframe support. There's one of the back ones I noticed had also snapped when it was taken apart. So you got to get those 3 extracted on the car, and then I currently have the downpipe in the truck, so that way I could take it to work with me tomorrow, and at some point tomorrow try to use the welder at work and get that extracted, because wasn't having any luck with this, and it's very, very possible because I just had it plugged into 110 and it just wasn't getting hot enough to really melt that metal into that heat treated stud on the downpipe. So and then on top of that, my 220/240 plugs in my garage are 50 amp plugs, and the welder's got a 30 amp plug, and I didn't have an adapter for it. So I was like, you know what, I got plenty of other stuff to do, and we're just gonna keep chucking along and get down, and we'll work on the downpipe tomorrow at work with the welder there. And for some reason at work, I always, knock on wood, there's no wood around, but always have luck getting them out at work. So we'll work on that tomorrow, and then tomorrow after work we'll get back to this and see what else we got to do. So can't locate my front and my rear motor mount, transmission mount point bolts, so we got to get some new ones of those, or just keep looking around and see if I can find them. And then we need to get this guy installed, the MAP catch can / coolant reservoir put back on as well. So she's just chilling there right now because it was in my truck, and yeah, I didn't really want it in my truck anymore, so took that out. That's there. And tonight, for the rest of the night, physical work, I am done, but I'm gonna do some research, look at some pictures, because I just really need to figure out where all these vacuum lines go and fuel lines go and stuff like that. And in the very near future, you know, I'm gonna get rid of this fuel rail. I do not like this stock fuel rail. I think it looks really ugly, and I didn't even try to clean it up, to be honest with you. But yeah, it just looks ugly, so I'll probably go with like a radium or an AMS fuel rail there. And gonna start doing probably a lot of stuff with good old AN fittings, so just throughout the car, clean it up. Down the road again, this is like after the car's running, driving for like, you know, a good solid month or 2, or maybe even later in the winter, because I don't plan on driving this car in the winter. You know, it's got summer tires on it, and I'm not going to get new wheels and tires for it, and I really don't want it to get all rusty and crusty underneath, because it's pretty decent right now. So, but like, I need ball joint. I might need to go see if I can source one of those locally, just a good old Vato Zone special or a Riley special or something, you know, stuff like that. So a lot of cleanup to do later in the future, but we'll figure it out. Really, I just like, so I have access to a sandblasting cabinet, and I have access to like just a powder coater, but I don't have a big enough oven. So maybe in the future I'll pick up my own sandblasting cabinet, and just like a household oven and a powder coating machine, because I used to powder coat back in like high school and college, just like for fun, just doing my thing, trying to teach myself new things, and I really enjoyed it. So I don't know. We'll see. I know the calipers really need to get powder coated, and then I really want to do like all my intercooler piping, my valve cover, stuff like that, just to really beautify this car, make it even prettier than it already is to me. So, but yeah, that's a wrap for the night. Just gonna try to clean some stuff up here, and we'll get back to it tomorrow after work. Happy with where it's at so far. We're getting there.